do have with me the lovely Miss Canny Maphanga, who's the SABC News senior reporter, who's here to connect the dots. So, Kenny, good afternoon to you. Record-breaking marathon testimony by a Sergeant Nkosi with some shocking revelations that have led to some serious action that has been taken since those revelations. What are you unpacking for us this afternoon? Good afternoon to you.
Indeed. Good afternoon to you, Alicia, and to the viewers at home. Certainly quite a marathon this week. 5 days of testimony for Sergeant Nkosi, where we look at some of those key themes coming out. An alleged middleman, not only for high-ranking SABC officials, but seemingly now also going into the city of Tshwane and the alleged recruitment processes there, as well as alleged tender manipulation. In what is said to be a record-breaking appearance before the Madlanga Commission of 5 days and counting, detective in the SABC National Organised Crime Unit, Sergeant Tshwane Nkosi, was the gift that kept on giving, as WhatsApp exchanges from his phone revealed his alleged middleman role between high-ranking SABC officials and alleged cartel members, tender manipulation and more. Let's get straight to it. I'm Canny Maphanga, and this is the Madlanga Wrap.
Is Lieutenant General Sibiya giving false evidence when he makes that denial on page 1300 and when he says on page 1298 that you were lying?
Maybe he forgot, but according to me, he did give me that instruction.
Did you tip off Mr. Madlanga that police are coming to his house?
No.
Someone who knew the murderer had managed to get hold of CCTV footage of the murder.
It was all over the news, and it was also said that the perpetrators or suspects were already arrested. So I assume that maybe automatically there were people who were investigating it.
Witness F was unmasked before a public hearing as Sergeant Tshwane Nkosi. Nkosi has been placed before the Commission as someone who allegedly plays a middleman role for high-ranking SABC officials and their dealings with alleged cartel members, namely suspended Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, that is Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya. Sibiya denied all the allegations before the probe, but Nkosi, in a polite way, said Sibiya gave false evidence when he did so.
Is Lieutenant General Sibiya giving false evidence when he makes that denial on page 1300 and when he says on page 1298 that you were lying when he said that he told you to forward the warrant to Mr. Madlanga?
Maybe he forgot, but according to me, he did give me that instruction.
Then, in relation to your evidence, let's start on 1294, line 20, so that you can see your evidence. Your evidence was, after 45 minutes, I received again a call from General Sibiya telling me that, or confirming to me about what already General Ramangwa had said to me, that this is a matter of importance. The person involved there did not mention who he was, but he mentioned to me he's getting pressure from head office. Head office, the office of the Deputy Minister, is getting pressure from them. I then asked Deputy National Commissioner, what's so important about this charge? Because according to me, there's no sense of urgency. He said this guy insulted a member of Parliament. He told me now the member that he created a crime against is Fikile Mbalula, the secretary of the ANC. The other is Mr. Z. So basically, they were the complainants. So this matter was putting him under pressure. That's the reason we had to leave everything and attend to it. So at 1296, lines 18 to 20, he says, Sergeant Nkosi at his level, he's 5 levels below me, 5. He'll never ask me a question that says, what's so important about this thing? What's your response to that?
That's not true.
You're saying it's not true?
No, that's not true.
Have you asked him on other occasions what's so important about a particular operation?
Many occasions.
Many occasions?
Yes.
Nkosi's role in the arrest of entertainment blogger, that is Musa Kawula, also came into focus. This as Nkosi's WhatsApp exchanges with one of the complainants, businessman Nxumalo, suggests that the latter was guiding the investigation.
It gives the impression, the unavoidable impression that in fact you had a complainant who was directing this investigation and telling the police what to do, where to go. That's the impression I get from this. Is that not a fair impression?
Maybe I can say 50-50 from the suggestion of the commission, but to me, I think maybe it was desperation because it was affecting him in his marriage, or he's a public figure as well. So I think it's desperation and direction. Maybe let's share, take 50, I take 50, and then we make what I'm suggesting.
It is also alleged that Nkosi abused his rank as an officer to obtain the number of Kawula from someone he saved in his phone as quote-unquote Natasha SABC presenter. Questions remain in this revelation as Charles Gerson intimated that Nkosi may have allegedly paid the presenter for the information.
So Natasha, the SABC presenter, who is a friend of Mr. Kawula, gave you that number for Mr. Kawula?
That's correct.
How did you get it from her?
Through the WhatsApp.
Through WhatsApp?
That's correct.
And what is her name, apart from, we know her first name and her status as an SABC presenter?
I know her as Natasha.
I see. So you have now established a contact number for Mr. Kawula, and you share that with Z. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why?
I can't remember exactly why, but I think it was in connection with this investigation. He wanted to give it to the investigation officer.
But if he wanted the number to go to the investigating officer, he could have asked you to send the number to the investigating officer. Why are you sharing details of a suspect with a complainant as opposed to with the investigating officer?
I think the reason Mr. Nxumalo or Z felt that the investigation is not going according to him, so most of the things he wanted to do by himself. So each and every information that he will get, he will just send in, please verify, I've spoken to the IO, and I think that is the reason.
But I want to put to you a difficulty with that. You are using police powers or police status to gather certain information, which you're then making available to a complainant to drive his own investigation. Do you not see a problem with that?
I did not use any police powers on this contact or on this investigation to give it to the complainant.
Well, do you think Natasha of the SABC would have given you that information if she didn't know you were a police officer?
That's correct.
You think she would have?
That's correct.
On what basis? How would you have asked for it?
I would ask her because if I know her.
And she would just hand out somebody else's cell phone number to a civilian or to a non-police officer for the purposes of investigating that person? Do you think she'd do that?
I think it will depend on the circumstances of the request of those particular numbers.
When you say you know her, in what capacity do you know her?
She used to be a student in TUT, and I know her from there.
Well, my question really is, do you know her, you as a police officer, or socially is the kind of distinction I'm looking for?
No, just as a civilian, not as a police officer. I knew her even before I was a police officer.
Okay, thank you.
Did you pay her for this information?
Can you repeat that message?
Did you pay her for this information?
No.
Are you sure about that answer? Are you sure about that answer?
I'm sure about the answer.
Why did you hesitate?
No, the way he's asking, this gives me doubt on.
Now, Advocate Charles Kisson, SC, left that question in the air and moved to a consistent pattern emerging in the WhatsApp exchanges in several different events. That is Sergeant Nkosi sharing internal confidential information with persons outside the police network, which includes a Stephen Mutsumi.
I'm not shying away from sending a classified document. It is alleged now. Here, in another way, I'm sending this to Mr. Mutsumi to praise the good work that the police has done, because of his got concern that police are not working, people are not protected, the inheritance of the republic. I'm sending this that in a sense that even though I send you allegations against the police, I'm also sending you good things that the police has done.
This pattern raised questions on whether he was the officer who leaked information to alleged cartel member Vusimuzi Cat Matlala that a raid was set to pounce on his home.
There is a suspicion that on the day, the 6th of December 2024, Mr. Matlala was tipped off by somebody within SABC that GCI Ops will be raiding his home. And there is a suspicion that you or somebody else may have tipped him off. And I want to give you the opportunity to respond to that. Did you tip off Mr. Matlala that police are coming to his house?
No.
This pattern had no limits, as it also found significance in the Amand Swart murder case. This as Sergeant Nkosi exchanged 30 calls and information with Mthakathi Mswazi, who is outside of the police network, after one of the alleged hitmen in the murder, who is linked to a string of crimes which also implicates alleged cartel members, was nabbed.
Someone who knew the murderer had managed to get hold of CCTV footage of the murder.
Can you repeat that again, Commissioner?
Was this not something that needed immediate investigation? Because someone who knew the murderer had managed to get hold of CCTV footage of the murder.
I did not see it like that at that time, because of automatically it was all over the news, and it was also said that the perpetrators or suspects were already arrested. So I assume that maybe automatically there were people who were investigating it.
Now, Nkosi's evidence took an interesting twist as his WhatsApp exchanges exposed alleged tender manipulation and an attempt to influence recruitment processes within the city of Tshwane. But Nkosi refused to implicate one name in that evidence. Find out more after the break. Now, alleged tender manipulation in the city of Tshwane, which implicates Action SA, the EFF, and the city of Tshwane's CFO, that is Gareth Mnisi, was brought into sharp focus at the Madlanga Commission. This as WhatsApp exchanges extracted from the phone of Nkosi reveal how Nkosi played a key role between Mnisi and a General Dlamini, that is a deputy TMPD commissioner, and what was seemingly the alleged manipulation of a major security tender. This as Dlamini and Mnisi never communicate with one another. They seem to only use Nkosi.
By interposing you between all of their communications, they leave an electronic trail that suggests that they never speak to each other.
Ngokusebenzisa wena ke lokho kuyafihlakala bakufihla ukuthi banokuxhumana bona bobabili wena ubasivika abavika ngase ihawu lokusithela kuso.
So they are able to communicate in relation to irregular conduct within the municipality without leaving an electronic trail that suggests that they have done so.
Now, Nkosi, who carries no official role in the city of Tshwane, not only had Mnisi and Dlamini seemingly dancing to the beat of his drum, but it seems that the suspended MMC for corporate and shared services, that is Khulufelo Morodi, was availing internal tender and recruitment documents to Nkosi. And while the common name JS keeps popping up in the exchanges, Nkosi refused to implicate taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni in the alleged misconduct. Now, to help us unpack this, we are now joined by the executive director at Corruption Watch, that is Lebogang Ramafoko. Apologies. Lebogang, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and welcome to Connecting the Dots.
Thank you so much for having me.
Indeed, Lebogang, is this kind of alleged tender manipulation common in the local government space, rather?
It is definitely common. And what we are seeing is that corruption has become a form of, a collusion of a number of actors who come together really to fleece the state. It is coordinated, it is well planned, and it does include all the factors that have been spoken about at the Madlanga Commission last week. So it's no longer just individual incidents or governance weaknesses. It's a self-perpetuated system that starts with political pressure. So it is not surprising that you are hearing political parties being mentioned. There is political pressure that normally weakens and places in key strategic positions in municipalities certain gatekeepers, especially in the finance, like the CFO in Pretoria, and supply chain. And in this case, in order to protect itself, it will then locate somebody with considerable power outside, like Mr. Nkosi, outside of the system, and others to basically share information that they should not be, that they should not have. And what you are seeing with having a middleman who has considerable power but is sitting outside is to prevent or protect that, if you were to examine a tender, you will find the fingers of political interests and others who are interested there. So a Sergeant Nkosi, who is actually supposed to deal with a crime, finds himself as somebody who is now a middleman in tenders. And we are seeing it. We've just released our preliminary report on corruption risk assessment in the Eastern Cape. And we are finding that this form of crime is systemic, and the weakening of the state or what happens at municipal level is orchestrated by this form of manipulation. And of course, you need to have political influence, because once people are in power, they are councillors, they are mayors, they are in the council, they then know whom to apply pressure for which tenders. And rather than playing an oversight role, they become a player and referee in a game of weakening the very state they are supposed to be upholding.
Indeed, and now we know that in this particular tender, it actually wasn't awarded, it was cancelled. However, it seems that there was quite a significant risk with the role of the CFO. I mean, the term that was used in the WhatsApp exchanges by Dlamini is that Sergeant Nkosi had, quote-unquote, captured the CFO. What is Corruption Watch looking at in terms of the reforms that are needed in the tender processes, especially with the kind of power that is given to a CFO in that particular process in the municipalities?
So in many instances, there is no transparency around how these positions, like positions of CFO, are basically made. There is no transparency, no proper checks and balances are done. And what we are advocating for is that there is an independent observer, like Kochta or others, but an independent observer that will ensure that these appointments are made, you know, with the utmost level of integrity and accountability. We also want to, we are advocating also for an open, and when I say open, I mean transparent examination of tender processes that any South African citizen can basically access to know which tenders are out, who applied, you know, what are the credentials of those that were awarded, and if there were any objections that were made, how were those objections dealt with? And in fact, what we are asking Treasury to do is that it provides that information in a user-friendly kind of way that will ensure that communities across different municipalities can see you know, that information. Brazil, for an example, doesn't only issue that information, it issues information about the activities of every public servant that can show you which trips that they took, that can have lifestyle audits in there, because indeed these people are serving the public and they are using public funds. And it is very important that we have and we really make sure that the public has information. We currently do not know how the CFO in Tshwane was appointed, but I'm sure if we went and we did investigations around how the CFO in Tshwane was appointed, you may even find that at that moment, right at the point of appointment, there were a number of irregularities or at least lack of transparency. We also want to know how the different municipalities are going to deal with their budgets being open to the public, where they are also friendly to the public, that the public can interrogate the budgets and they can have an opportunity to ask different questions. So these are just some of the proposals that we are making. And also what we are finding in the value chain in many municipalities is that a number of steps in the value chain, you know, are manual. They are not done in a manner in which you can get them electronically, you can interrogate them electronically. We must commend Pretoria that this tender was cancelled, but we need to strengthen ways in which we can prevent some of these things from happening. And it includes with who we appoint, it includes with the separation of political parties, political heads from procurement, and we need to find ways in which we do that. And of course, with policing and with crime intelligence, we basically need a major overhaul, which the Madlanga Commission must also pay attention to.
Indeed, Lebogang, we have run out of time, unfortunately. That was the executive director there at Corruption Watch, explaining the kind of transparency that is still needed in local government with respect to those tenders that are being issued out. And we know that in the city of Tshwane, at least, we've seen those 2 suspensions take place, but all eyes are now on the city to see what they will do with what they've heard so far about their CFO, that is Mr. Gareth Mnisi, and those allegations of alleged tender manipulation in the city of Tshwane. Now, Nkosi's evidence took an interesting twist on Friday as the exchanges revealed that he shared the video of the murder of Keenan Forbes, also known as AKA Tumtagati, and he texted DJ Sumbody's friend after the DJ died in a hail of bullets, a message that said, "Why didn't you call DJ Sumbody to order?" While Nkosi later attributed this to a warning about messing with people's girlfriends, his earlier answer was recognized as a lie, raising the question, why would Nkosi lie about this simple detail?
This is something out of the ordinary, so to speak. And you write and you say, why didn't you call him to order? Surely you remember that. You cannot tell us that you do not remember that. And if you tell us that, I'm saying directly to you and to your face that you are lying. Please try to come up with a different answer, which is more plausible. Otherwise, you are just telling us lies.
I did manage to phone Mr. Lekukela, whom I was talking to that time. He just reminded a bit that we were talking about how he could have warned the deceased of not interfering with people's girlfriends.
Now, this latest evidence begs the question, is there something more to the murders of musicians AKA and DJ Sumbody that Nkosi is not being candid about? This is in light of his alleged links to the taxi industry and alleged cartel syndicates, and why he would be sharing the AKA murder video with Mtagati, and why he held the view that Lekukula should have called DJ Sumbody to order. Sergeant Nkosi is set to continue with his testimony on Monday at 9:30 a.m. Join us next week Sunday at 5 p.m. to see if more gems emerge from the phone of Sergeant Nkosi.